So with the recent release of Venom, one thing that has been an interesting topic to be brought up is, why on earth is it that there is such a divide between critics and the audience on this particular one? Now, it's something that had been brought up on Twitter that I had responded to and then got rather angry about when somebody took my sarcasm 100% seriously when it came to critics, which I do suppose I owe that gentleman an apology for basically giving him the finger, but one thing I would ask is please don't put words in my mouth. Anyway, one thing that's been interesting throughout my time whenever it comes to the divide between critics and fans has always been that there are certain expectations that critics seem to go into movies with on a general basis and that the audience goes in with. Mostly because critics aren't going to be fans of everything. In fact, let's simplify the critic for you, the audience of this particular video. Most critics are hipsters. Yeah, most of them are. You'll find the occasional one that knows how to have a good time, but most of them are hipsters. Most of them are just stringy jerks. You know, Movie Bob is a good example. Bob Chipman is your typical critic. The now disgraced what's-his-face, who used to be the head of Birth Movies Death, whose name escapes me at the moment, mostly because he was never that relevant in the first place, is another good example. Totally pretentious, complete and total jerk-off, etc., etc. Now, here's the thing about critics when it comes to films like this. It's very rare that they're ever really going to like anything that is not chasing something serious. In these days, the MCU, which it seems like many films are, trying to either be funny, aimed at a younger audience, or are largely chasing The Departed in a sense, or at least chasing The Dark Knight. Now, that's sort of what a lot of people are looking for when it comes to films like that, like in the MCU and so on and so forth. It's going to be funny. It's got to be kind of immature humor, and kind of aimed at a younger audience, sort of like the Ant-Man films. Or if you're going outside the MCU, something like Deadpool, where most of the humor is actually self-referential and toilet humor. Not saying that that humor is necessarily bad. I quite enjoyed both of the Deadpool films, but it's the type of thing that critics like. Critics especially love it when someone takes the time to be ironic or self-referential or self-deprecating. Critics loved Thor Ragnarok, which spends a good chunk of the movie making Thor look like a dumbass, which I wasn't a fan of, but that's me. And Venom is none of those things. Venom is not trying to necessarily be that serious of a movie. I mean, if you gave Riz Ahmed's character a Snidely Whiplash-style mustache, it would fit him perfectly. Or at least a mustache like my own. He's not really there to be this, Baron Zemo-style character. He's a mad scientist. The character of Riot, the symbiote, is pretty much a single-direction being of chaos who just wants to kill shit. And Venom himself is the star of the show, but then again, the movie's about him. And of course, Tom Hardy really delivers. Now, the thing about the film is that, for better or worse, it is a Venom comic book brought to life. Now, the character of Eddie Brock has gone through an interesting evolution as time has gone on, and you're not going to find a lot of people who know more about Venom than I do. At least the character of Eddie Brock, because he is my favorite fictional character ever. I don't think I'll ever get the chance to write for Marvel because I'm a Republican, but if I ever got the chance to write any one character, it would be him. I would love it. Like my dream would be to write Venom and Mark Bagley do the art, because Mark is my favorite artist ever. But anyway, the character of Venom, in his most popular age, was actually after the birth of Carnage, which is, I believe, was Amazing Spider-Man 331. I can't remember it, but I do remember that being my very first comic that I was ever given. It was a gift to me from my uncle. But anyway, that arc, oddly enough, art done by Mark Bagley, written by David Michelini, the creator of the character of Venom, really is the beginning of a different phase of the character's life. He starts out as basically a strict villain when Todd McFarlane helped David Michelinie create him. But after that, for better or worse, became an anti-hero that clashed with Spider-Man. And during that time, which we'll reference as the Lethal Protector phase, is, for better or worse, about Venom being this sort of dark action hero, in a sense. I mean, this is not a character that is that serious, nor has he ever really been that serious outside of that early villain phase. And given that this is a movie without Spider-Man in it, it's kind of understandable as to why they would start with a story based on Lethal Protector and separation anxiety to degrees. But during that stretch, which is about 100 comics, where Venom would basically get miniseries after miniseries after miniseries. A lot of them just dumb fun. You know, The Madness, Sinner Takes All is a really fun one. Oh gosh, what are the other ones? License to Kill, the aforementioned Lethal Protector and Separation Anxiety, and so on and so forth. Like, a lot of them are just dumb action, and that's kind of the enjoyable one, or the what's really enjoyable. I think one of them is called The Hunt, where he and Vengeance, for those of you who don't remember, Michael Battolino, the other Ghost Rider, the one with the purple skull and the spikes down his head, they team up. Knights of Vengeance is what it's called, not The Hunt. Knights of Vengeance is basically Venom does Predator. It's sort of in reverse. It's a badass comic. I loved it. I think Ron Lim actually did the art for that one too, and I love Ron Lim. Probably my second favorite Venom artist, right behind Mark Bagley. But anyway, it was dumb fun all the way through, and critics don't seem to like that. They also don't seem to like the sort of blackish comedy that Venom has. I mean, this is like Fallout level humor, in my opinion. You know, it's sort of disgusting situations that are spun in a way to give you a laugh. Like the idea of Anne Wang, after she gives Eddie the symbiote at a certain point, spoilers, she goes, wait a minute, did I just eat a guy's head? And then, of course, there's other humor that really is akin to something like The Mask, the Jim Carrey film. And Tom Hardy, of course, pulls it off wonderfully. He is Venom, even more so, in my opinion, than he was Bane. Or at least that version of Bane, where he's more of like a British terrorist than he is really a Latino one. But anyway, point being is that this is not the kind of a movie that a critic is going to enjoy, because it doesn't have these preset things that critics are looking for, as opposed to the audience, which is going to understand Venom, is going to understand, without Spider-Man around, this is going to be a goofy character. This is going to be an action movie. This is going to be fun. And critics can't really have that kind of fun, and that's where the divide is. Now, some people will probably say they didn't like Venom, which is fine. Like whatever you want. I loved it. I thought it was a ton of fun. Not like greatest movie ever, but a ton of fun. And that's what I was looking for, and that's what I got. And that's what a lot of people got, which is why this film has set records for the month of October, and will probably clear 100 million over the weekend. At least it wouldn't surprise me. I think the opening gate over just 2 days, of Friday and Saturday, was $80 million. That's a record setter. Meanwhile, you've got Lady Gaga in this other movie, which name escapes me, not even pulling in half of that. Pretty crazy when you think about it. So, needless to say, but I'm going to say it anyway, this is a film that was destined to get bad reviews. In the same way that back in the 80s, a film like Predator or a film like RoboCop was destined to get bad reviews, but be loved by the audiences. Now, I don't know if 20 years from now or 30 years from now, if Venom is going to be held in the same regard as it is now, but as it stands, it's a lot of fun. I recommend it, to say the least, and I'm probably the harshest Venom critic you're ever going to find. If you really like dumb, fun, anti-hero Eddie Brock with great banter between he and the symbiote, you're going to love the movie, and critics are always going to hate it, because critics are a bunch of pretentious douchebags. Anyway, if you have seen the movie, please tell me what you thought in the comments below. I'd like to hear your opinions, even if they're dissenting. Regardless, though, that's the in and out of it. Until next time, though, my name is Micah Curtis. I'll see you then. Deus Volt.